Well, here we are on Mother's Day, and I was going to have a sermon for children, but I don't see any young ones. But I'll tell you what it was. Basically, little Johnny was having a hard time getting to sleep, so his mother decided she would lie down on the bed with him. You know what happened, don't you? She fell asleep. Little Johnny, however, did not. And when she woke up, there was Johnny sitting on a chair. And she said, "Well, what are you doing over there, Johnny?" And she says, I'm playing God. I'm watching over you. I think that's really cute. Anyhow, may the meditations of my heart and my mind be acceptable to you, gracious and loving God. Allow me to be an instrument of your will and your love. My message today is going to be a little different, as will be the prayers, because it's Mother's Day, and I came up with some different prayers, so we won't be using the prayers from here. Also, I refer to Proverbs 31, the last section, which is also the last chapter of Proverbs. She opened her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to have the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her happy, her husband too, and he praises her. Many women have done quote, many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all, unquote. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears, honors the Lord, is to be praised. Give her a share in the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise you in the city gates. I think that's maybe was directed at Mother's Day before Mother's Day ever was, but to the women of the world that give so much. Mother's Day officially began as a tribute to one woman. Anna Reeves Jarvis is most often credited with founding Mother's Day in honor of her mother and her mother's wish that there be a day set aside for mothers, all mothers. She began the movement in West Virginia in 1914, and the official Mother's Day celebration took place at the Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church. President Wilson made it a national holiday, created it as a Mother's Day on May 9th in 1914. In 1908, Jarvis sent out 500 white carnations to the church in honor of her mother. The carnation in her opinion, she picked the carnation because the carnation does not drop its petals, but hugs them to its heart as it dies. And so too mothers hug their children in their hearts. Their mother's love never die. It became the official flower for Mother's Day. As a society, we have glorified motherhood. If we look at our country 60 or 70 years ago, it was a desperate country. A country desperately looking for normalcy, looking for stability, subsequent to World War II. In the process, the idealized mother came about, the one that works all the time, is always self-sacrificing and so forth. If you remember the Leave It to Beaver, June Cleaver, she was perfect. Couldn't be anybody than June. However, there was Margaret Anderson, who was the wife of Jim Anderson, and father knows best, but they were perfect women. Just perfect women. Mother's Day, it's sweet, it's happy, it's beautiful, but not for all, not for all. While some women are delighted to come to church on Mother's Day, others stay away. because it's a very painful day. They skip church. They stay at home on Mother's Day because no matter how hard we try to make it nice, it's simply too painful for them. Too painful for women who give up their child for adoption after being shuffled off to a home for unwed mothers. You remember those days in the 40s and 50s and the 60s. Women who regret the decision made long ago to terminate a pregnancy. Women who lost a child at birth. Women who have had miscarriages. How do we show our love to our mothers and yet at the same time show compassion for those it hurt? Many sermons focus on the good things about motherhood. Now we know that motherhood is certainly a great honor. I don't want to take anything away from motherhood. I don't want to be stoned as I'm walking out of this church today. But motherhood is a wonderful thing. I love my mother to this day. And to the day I die, I will love her. She was one heck of a woman, let me tell you. My sister, the physician out in Utah, refers to her at all when people say, "Oh, how have you been able to do all this, Dr. Reese?" And she says, "I just do what my mother told me to do. Treat people with kindness and love them." It's that simple. It is that simple. It doesn't bring all these memories for everyone, these good memories. Throughout the Bible, we can find a variety of women who dealt with motherhoods, the struggles of motherhood. Many women, men can relate to these stories. Many mothers can identify with these stories through their own struggles of motherhood. For those who need to be reconciled with parents, there are sometimes kids and moms and dads don't get along real well. You know, they just have a problem there. Or those who desire to forgive their mothers now that it's too late, since they've passed on. But looking at the women in the Bible, and I'll mention a few today, it might help give us a different perspective to the struggles of motherhood. By the way, as I tell teachers, I'm really sad when teachers that I sub for have to take a day off from school because their kid's sick and can't go to daycare. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. This is crazy. Here you are giving up your child to teach other children. You know, they're missing out on a wonderful thing. Motherhood probably is one of the most important careers, callings of all. It is for the next generation, the future of humanity. But some of those women in the Bible had tough times. Eve, for example. How did she feel, do you think, when her one son killed the other one? Sarai, also known as Sarah, barren until she was 90. Barren, no children. In that society, that would be a shameful thing. And at 90, God intervened. Isaac and Ishmael, that caused a problem for her. She was barren all those years, and yet she still had problems with those children. Or her own jealousy. Rebekah, Isaac's wife, who struggled with favoritism for her son Jacob over Esau. A woman who we think we know her name, but we're not sure. Jochebed, a caring mother who had to give up her son Moses. To save his life, she gave him up. And then there's Mary, who in chapter 31 of one of the Gospels, it talks about how she may have thought about he lost his mind, that he really pushed the limits, and she was worried about him and what he was doing. But then she also helplessly saw him crucified. are many other mothers too that suffered. I think all mothers suffer a little bit. It's not all rosy. There's a challenge there. These stories remind us that it's okay in relationships between mothers and children that aren't perfect. There is no perfect. It's not such a thing. And that God is at work even in those tough situations. It's hard enough sometimes to care for ourselves. I talk to mothers all the time. I have the thing called the airplane theory. You can talk about it first. The idea is you take care of yourself first. Women are socialized to always take care of somebody else first. Well, in the process, they die, or they get tired, or they get burned out. And they can't care for the people around them as much as they would like. Airplane theory, you have to put your oxygen mask on first. Have to. Or dead. These stories remind us that it's okay not to be perfect. You have to care for yourself, even though this responsibility of caring for children is sometimes overwhelming. I look at some of the Mennonite families, and they've got like 12 kids. How in the world do they do that? Now if you take 12 times 9, that's a lot of times being pregnant. That's years of being pregnant. And think about that. Referring to the letter that Paul wrote to Romans, chapter 15, verse 13, it says, Rufus, chosen in the Lord, and his mother and mine. His mother and mine. What does that mean? They really worked on that. His mother and mine. Does it mean they have the same mother? Probably not. It could be taken 2 or 3 different ways. It could mean that Paul had 2 distinct women in his mind, the mother of Rufus and his own mother, which is probably what it was, or possibly not. Or he could be saying, I salute Rufus and his mother, who is like a mother to me. And probably if you look at the different versions, the different versions of the Bible, they make it very clear. In the New Revised Standard Version, it says, greet Rufus, chosen in the Lord, and greet his mother, a mother to me also. And today's English version even says it more clearly. I send greetings to Rufus, that outstanding worker in the Lord's service, and to his mother, who has always treated me like a son. So, this is just a little part of a little tidbit of my life, one of my humorous things. I thought it was humorous. I lived it. 1966 or 67, I was doing my alternative service at Jeans Hospital in Philadelphia. Worked in the operating room handing instruments for surgeons. And before that, for a couple of weeks before they had an opening in the operating room, I worked as an orderly. I got to know a lot of nurses and nurses' aides. And then there's this one, there were a couple I became very close to. But there was this one, and it was like a mother-daughter, or maybe a daughter too, mother-son relationship. And I would walk into the visitor snack bar and so forth, and I'd say, "Hi, Mom!" And everybody would look at us. They would look at us with wonder, because I wasn't black. She was. But she treated me like a mother, I'll tell you. She was just a wonderful, wonderful woman. I mention all of these because motherhood can be seen in different perspectives. A mother, biological mother. Of course, nowadays, they do it with artificial insemination. It's just amazing, Somewhat scary, too. An adopted mother, a stepmother, a foster mother, a grandmother, a mentor to a mother. And those women and men whose actions and words are those of a mother. And those that are unofficially adopted mothers. We honor all those people today. We all have this opportunity to share our love, God's love. To share the love of God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. A love, going back to that earlier reading, a love that is within each one of us. Each and every one of us has that within us. I think I'd like to read at least one poem. Probably everybody wants to go to breakfast. Am I right? Anybody who's going to breakfast, Mother's Day breakfast, raise your hands. Oh, no. Okay. Wait a minute. How many are cooking their own Mother's Day breakfast? Well, anyhow, I remember my mother and father going on vacation. It was not a vacation for my mother. She did everything. This is written by Catherine Davis. What is a mother? A mother is someone to shelter and guide us, to love us, whatever we do, with a warm understanding that infinite patience and wonderful gentleness too. How often a mother means swift reassurance in soothing our small childish fears. How tenderly mothers watch over their children and treasure them all through the years. The heart of a mother is full of forgiveness for any mistake, big or small, and generous always in helping her family, whose needs she has placed above all. A mother can utter a word of compassion and make all our cares fall away. She can brighten a home with the sound of her laughter and make life delightful and gay. A mother possesses incredible wisdom and wonderful insight and skill. In each human heart is that one special corner which only a mother can fill. The other one is for us that are mothers that maybe passed away or our mothers are older. It's written by Maggie Pittman, and it's called Her Hands. Her hands. Her hands held me gently from the day I took my first breath. Her hands helped to guide me as I took my first step. Her hands held me close when the tears would start to fall. Her hands were quick to show me that she would take care of us all. Her hands were there to brush my hair or straighten a wayward bow. Her hands were often there to comfort the hurts that didn't always show. Her hands helped hold the stars in place and encourage me to reach. Her hands would clap and cheer and praise when I captured them at length. Her hands would also push me, though not down or in harm's way. Her hands would punctuate the words, just do what I say. Her hands sometimes had to discipline to help bend this young tree. Her hands would shape and hold me into all she knew I could be. Her hands are now twisted with age and years of work. Her hands need my gentle touch to rub away the hurt. Her hands are more beautiful than anything can be. Her hands are the reason